Welcome to Medianet TV in our Health Economy studio. I'm pleased to welcome today as our guests Dr. Rupert Ecker, founder of the global acting precision medicine company TissueGnostics, Professor Jyotsna Batra from the Queensland University of Technology in Australia, as well as the biomedicine expert Mr. Wu, who works on the Chinese and Asian markets. A translation of your answers will be provided. Dr. Ecker, I remember well when TissueGnostics was founded in Vienna in 2003, 20 years from now. How did it all begin?
I studied cell biology, and in 1994 I embarked on a journey at biomedical research at the Department of Urology, Medical University of Vienna. Mm-hmm. And by the time it was common practice, if you want to analyze single cells in a tissue, that you enzymatically digest the tissue and do an analysis using a flow cytometer. Now, a flow cytometer is an instrument, a technology that has been available for some 50 years, and that allows to quantify molecules on individual cells, but with one major limitation, that these cells have to be in suspension. That's why it's called flow cytometry. Mm-hmm. In other words, that means that you cannot properly analyze a tissue section, because a tissue section is something solid, not something liquid. And enzymatically digesting a tissue has some major drawbacs, because you completely lose the context to histology. You are able to measure which cell is there, which marker is expressed, but you do not know from where in the tissue sample, in the organ, it came. So we had the idea to bring this concept of flow cytometry to the microscopic slide and the tissue section, and make something that is now called tissue image cytometry.
Okay.
That was the initial idea, and through my master's and my PhD, this was matured, and we finally founded the company in April 2003.
And what were the most important milestones since then?
Well, the most important part actually was to found the company. That may sound funny, but when two scientists come with a thick business plan, go to a bank or talk to investors and tell them, if you give us money, we will revolutionize biomedical research, they laugh at you and you get nothing. So the two founders, I'm one of them, took their private money, in fact went to the bank to get the loan, so that we had the 35,000 euro of the stock capital that was legally required for an Austrian company. And we invested this money and really founded the company. And when we then came to a bank or to an investor, not only talked about the dream, but could say, look, we have the company, we founded it, we invested 35,000 euro from our private money, they started to take us serious. And this was in 2003, and a year later we succeeded in get startup funds, so seed financing as it's called, from AWS, the Austrian investment bank, and FFG, the Austrian agency for the promotion of science. And this allowed us to get the professional office and start to hire people. Then in 2005 we had our first software product ready to launch. In 2006 the first complete system, so a real instrument with hardware. And in the same year we also had a closing with a venture capital investor in Vienna. In 2007 we set up TissueGnostics USA, because the US market is considered the world's biggest and most important life science market. We continuously added new technologies, both to hardware, like to do whole slide imaging in confocal mode, but also to the software, like machine learning classifiers and deep learning algorithm, to make our instruments and software more and more powerful and permit for a wider usage.
Now, TissueGnostics operates worldwide. Where exactly?
The corporate headquarters are still in the city of Vienna, in Austria, in the heart of Europe. But nowadays we have a global network of subsidiaries, offices, distributors, and sub-dealers. Our direct representations are in the US, in Los Angeles, and in the greater Boston area, in South America, in Sao Paulo, in Brazil. Then if we move further east, in the United Kingdom, in South Africa, in Pretoria, then in New Delhi, in India, in Taiwan, in Brisbane, Australia. And we have got, in fact, 4 offices in mainland China, in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Wuhan.
How many clients are you servicing worldwide, and how many solutions are implemented?
This is hard to say because many of our clients are core facilities at universities, which cater dozens to hundreds of labs at a university like MIT or University of Harvard. Yeah. We have more than 1,000 installations around the world on all continents. And we are in fact tracing what our clients do, what they publish with the aid of our solutions and our instruments. And I'm proud to say that as of now, we have exceeded the number of 2,500 reference papers published from research groups in more than 60 countries on all continents, in some 800 peer-reviewed scientific journals. And among them are many what we call breakthrough research publications, breakthrough research powered by TissueGnostics.
So you said more than 1,000 installations?
Hardware and software.
Hardware and software. Yeah. How large is your team at TissueGnostics?
Globally, roughly 75 people.
With only 75 people, you are managing all that?
And the headquarters in Vienna currently has 19.
What will be the next steps in developing?
We are about to launch a new product, a new product line. In hardware, a new software suite for performing tissue image cytometry with the use of more image analysis and more artificial intelligence solutions, and are also working on staining kits, which are to be considered as consumables.
Mr. Wu, you are an expert in precision diagnostics on the Asian market. What significance do TissueGnostics technologies have in Asia and in China in particular?
Okay, thank you. 中国生物医学研究蓬勃发展，今天的中国科学研究已跻身国际领先地位。TissueGnostics 公司帮助中国科学家探索组织内细胞相互作用的未知问题。TissueGnostics 公司为临床科学家开发新的治疗方法和医疗药物提供必要的支持。TissueGnostics 公司提供符合欧洲标准的体外诊断产品，可以实现精准诊断多种疑难和常见疾病，从而实现精准诊断、精准用药、精准预后。
Professor Batra, you are University Professor at the Queensland University of Technology. You are currently doing an industry fellowship at TissueGnostics. What motivated you to do this?
This is an excellent question. I was very lucky to have a fellowship from MTP Connect, which is Researcher Exchange with the Industry Fellowship. So I'm currently working on prostate cancer research. And the goal in prostate cancer research is to identify patients early on so that we can have better outcome for them. Now we have several ways of diagnosing prostate cancer patients, but the digital pathology still remains the core of identifying how these patients would behave, whether they have aggressive disease or not. So TissueGnostics' amazing tools related to imaging as well as analytical tool provides unmissable readout for these pathology slides. So ultimate goal for my fellowship would be to develop accessible and easily accessible tools which can be used by pathologists in the clinical setting for digital pathology readouts and outcome. So this is one motivation, of course, for sure. The second motivation relates to my career goals, which comes from the fact that this fellowship really enables industry-academia exchange and entitles as well for me to have a real-world experience that how an industry actually deals with a clinical problem such as cancer in an industry setting rather than just in academic settings. So there are actually several goals for me to come and do this fellowship here.
So Mr. Wu showed how TissueGnostics technologies are used in China and in Asia. Professor Batra showed this for the academic world. It turns out that by expanding the research network on a global level and receiving rapid first-hand feedback from users and researchers, TissueGnostics can act very efficiently and quickly. Your expertise is repeatedly requested in a wide variety of projects around the world. From which ones and what do you attribute this to?
So I mentioned that we now have more than 2,500 reference papers from around the world, and we are tracking and analyzing them, how they are distributed, from which disciplines they come. And there is a majority of research done using our instruments and software in the field of oncology, cancer research. But at the same time, we see that there are applications in all disciplines, in neuroscience, in stem cell research, in dermatology, in pharmacology, toxicology. Also big pharma companies use this even in clinical studies to prove the efficacy of a new treatment. We can say that the applications literally range from A, like asthma or atopic dermatitis, to Z, like Zika virus. As stated in the beginning, TissueGnostics evolved from science, from a scientific need to more accurate analysis. And ever since our foundation, close collaboration with academia and research institute have been and continue to be a constitutive element of our global success. To give you some examples, we have had more than 20 publicly funded research projects in Austria, funded by national agencies, and roughly a dozen EU-funded projects. And I'm particularly proud of 7 major Marie Curie innovative training networks to which TissueGnostics was an industry partner. In a Marie Curie project, academia, so universities from all over Europe and also companies from Europe come together to address specific questions that early career researchers are trained upon. And we have been member of 7 such projects. And lately, also through our collaborator, Professor Batra, and my own role at Queensland University of Technology, we have succeeded in becoming partner to an Australian Research Council-funded training center on cell and tissue engineering technologies, which is jointly run by Monash University and Queensland University of Technology, where we are also working on a specific project related to multiplexing in digital pathology.
So this is the way to the future of the company.
TissueGnostics has become the one-stop shop for automated microscopy and high-end solutions in tissue image cytometry. And this is the basis which we are expanding.
And what are the major goals that you have for the future?
I mentioned that the company is now present on all continents, but not in all countries.
Okay.
So we are still working on expanding the companies geographically, but also technologically and application-wise. So we are looking at this from different angles and different perspectives and try to integrate emerging technologies, but also develop our own to foster our position as solution provider in the precision medicine research market.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.